everybody, this is Bobby with bobbystamps.blogspot.com. I'm going to show you how to make this cute card that I just made. It's kind of a 3D card. I don't know if you guys can see how it's kind of actually up off the card a little bit. So we will get started. You're going to need the base of the cardstock is Delightful Dijon. And then I'm using a piece of designer series paper from the Moroccan Nights designer series paper. You're going to need a piece of Whisper White, and that is what we're going to stamp the 3 leaves on. And then we're going to use the layering ovals to punch out our sentiment. We're going to use the Emerald Envy ruched ribbon. We're going to use the glitter pen Wink of Stella, and this is gold. You're just going to be really surprised. I want you to look at the leaves after the Wink of Stella, and then you'll see them what they look like before. We're going to use the Sentiment and Everything Give Thanks from the Sweet Sayings stamp set, and then we're going to use Vintage Leaves, and I think we pretty much use every single one of those in this card. And I'm just going to show you really quick before we get started. This is one I didn't use because I kind of smeared it, but it's kind of a neat technique that I'm going to demonstrate for you guys today. And then here's one that I used just when I was, here's a different one, when I was just testing them out to see what I was going to do. So I'm just going to lay this aside, and I will tell you right now, this is a very, very messy job. So if you don't like, I've washed my hands I don't know how many times, and I had ink everywhere and ink under my fingernails, and it wasn't very pretty. So the ink pads we're going to use is Early Espresso, Emerald Envy, and Cajun Craze. And I did test this after I tried it to make sure that I wasn't double dipping in my stamps, so to say, because I didn't want to transfer the ink. And so I stamped in each pad afterwards to make sure. And I think if you're careful, you're going to be okay, because none of mine, nothing stamped off or had mixed color in it when I went to use it the next time. So the first one we'll do, we'll just grab the long one, the long leaf, and then you can choose to do it however you want to do it. But what I did was I would stamp it lightly in one of the darker colors, and then I would take my sponge and I would just randomly apply the other colors. And you don't want to put it all over. And the trick is you can kind of really see, if you flip your block over, you can kind of see what you're going to end up with. So I'm just going to do just a little bit more of the green. And then we do have to do some fussy cutting. So this is not a card to make if you don't want to mess have a lot of time. So look at that. I hope you guys can see the different colors and how that looks. Okay, so that's that one. The next one, we'll just grab the big leaf, and this one I'm going to ink it up in Cajun Craze, and then, like I said, we'll just go in with Emerald Envy in random spots, and then Early Espresso, and then I'm going to flip it over. That looks pretty good, I think, so I'm just going to leave that, and we'll just stamp it right there. And as you can see, I've got a diaper wipe at hand because my fingers are getting so inky already. Let me wipe that off really quick. But look how pretty. Look how pretty those colors are. They're just kind of mixed together. I hope you guys can pick that up. So what I do is the one that I'm going to dip the base, I don't use the sponge on. So like the next one we're going to do is this one. I'll go back into the Early Espresso and I'll just lightly dip it in there. And then I don't want to dip it in my Emerald Envy, so that's why I'm using the sponge. Oops. And I'm going to put some more just because where that flipped up, I'm afraid my finger took it off. Looks good. And we'll just stamp down with that. I'm going to wipe my hands off really quick because that flipped back and got me, and I don't want to make a mess. I usually end up doing that. I'll end up ruining a card because I have ink on my finger and don't realize it, and I pick it up, and it's always on the Whisper White cardstock too. So let me lift this up and show you that one. Pretty. Okay, we're just going to lay that to the side for right now. We're going to grab our card base, and what we're going to do here is we're going to stamp around, and you don't have to put too many in it on the background. We're just kind of like decorating the background a little bit, and I'm not going to use any of the Emerald Envy for that. We're actually done with Emerald Envy, so we'll just set it to the side. And then I'm going to just move the sponges out because we're kind of done with those too. We'll grab the bigger leaf there, and then I'm just going to start off with Cajun Grace. And I've got my protective paper down because I am stamping off, as you guys can tell. And this was just, you know, we're doing random stuff here. Don't want to do too many because we want to go back in with this. Oops. I just dropped a block on the floor, and luckily it didn't get on my carpet. Okay, so now we'll go in with Early Espresso. It's the same stamp that we just used in the Cajun Grace. Just turn your block. Okay. Then we're going to go in with this little guy. We'll go back to Cajun Grace. And then we're just going to do some random filling. I'm just going to do 2 and then go into the Early Espresso and just kind of randomly put those. And that looks good, I think. We'll just leave it like that. I'm just going to close these up. We will use one of them in just a second. I believe I used the Cajun Craze for my sentiment, because I tried the black, and the black kind of is just too harsh with the rest of the colors on the card, so I wasn't very happy with that. So I didn't want to do that. So now while we have this here, we'll just go ahead, grab the Emerald Envy ribbon. I don't know why I'm so tongue-twisted. And let me grab my snips, and we're just going to put that right around the middle. It's an extra piece of ribbon I used made a card yesterday and ended up not using it, so I didn't want to throw it away. I thought, you never know, and I'm going to need that Peekaboo Peach color. You don't want to pull too tight because you don't want your paper to bow. So we'll just kind of do it like that. Make sure it's straight. We'll go ahead and put that on. We're just going to put it right in the center of the card. Like that. Whoops. Go ahead and tie our bow up. I'll pause the video. I'll start showing you guys. I mean, I think everybody knows how to fussy cut, but I will pause the video so you guys don't have to watch me cut all those out, because that is going to take a while. Okay, that looks good. We'll just cut that off. It's probably going to be too long. We'll probably have to, oh yeah, we'll just shorten it up a bit. I'm not a perfectionist, I promise. Sometimes I think I am, I just can't leave it alone. Okay, so let's grab a glue dot. And we'll get that popped on there. And we're just going to simply put it right there at the end, like that. I never really dreamed that I would be using Emerald Envy and Delightful Dijon together. Those are colors that just doesn't pop in your head that, oh yeah, those would look really good together. I don't think I used my bone folder to fold that over before we started, but we can still do it. We'll put that out of the way. I'm going to move this paper out of the way. And what we're going to do next, and this is how I did it earlier, I just simply cut these just to make it easier to handle, like so. And then you just, as closely as you can, we're just going to go around each of the designs. And like I said, guys, this is going to be a little bit of a tedious process. So I'll cut this one out while we're chit-chatting, and then I'll pause the video, and when I come back I'll have all of them cut out, and I'll show you the transformation that we're going to make just by simply using the Wink of Stella. And it's the gold glitter pen. If you've never used that, I would suggest that you make sure you go to Stampin' Up, and you can shop in my online store 24/7 if you visit my blog. It's bobbystamps.blogspot.com. If you want to go to my online store, it's bobbystamps.stampinup.net. And like I said, you can shop there 24/7, but I use the Wink of Stella quite a bit if you like glitter. It's an easy way to use glitter without the glitter mess, because it's in the pen and it clearly says push, and you push in the chamber to have the glitter come down, and then you can just apply it. And this I was really surprised because I don't think I've ever used the gold glitter pen. If I have, it has just been on a small project, but for something big like this to color these leaves in, I'd never used it on such a big product, and I was really surprised. Like, it just totally transformed the card, because when I first stamped these, I wasn't very happy with the Delightful Dijon color, and the Whisper White didn't look good together at all. And so I was like, well, I'm just not going to make this card then. And then when I put the Wink of Stella on it and it transformed the color, I was like, oh my goodness, that just blends so well. Okay, so I have this one cut out, and you can go back in if there's areas like that right there that's just a little bit too white. But the Wink of Stella, when I come back and show you guys, you're going to be amazed. The Wink of Stella totally transforms the looks of the leaves. So I will pause, and then I will be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. I have them all cut out, and I just wanted to point out how pretty these leaves are. And can you see just like the around the edges where it's turned the color, the green or whatever color that we used? I just think that is so neat. Okay, so we're going to grab a piece of paper, because this is kind of messy too. You guys know me, I don't do a card unless it's messy. So we're going to grab our Wink of Stella, and you just shake it up. Mine's broke, so that's why it kind of looks funny. But if you can see right there, it says push. And that's how you get the gold. You can kind of see it right there. That's how you get it into the chamber, right there. Okay? And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit, just so you guys can see a little bit better. So what we're just going to do is just go all over the leaves. Just make sure you get the outside edges of them, or you will see white. And we're just going to paint them all over with that Wink of Stella. And this also helps them, it seems to be a little bit, it stiffens the cardstock. Let me make sure you guys can still see. It stiffens the cardstock, so that way when we go to put it on the card, it does really help it pop off the card and kind of gives it a 3D effect. So I liked that. So we're just going to color all of these really good, making sure that we cover, like I said, all the white areas, because if you don't, it's going to look white and you don't want it to look that way. You can leave a little bit like there in the middle, but you really want to make sure you get around the edges. Make sure you get the stems. Okay, see a spot there. We'll just widen you back out a little bit. I'm just going to pick them up and see where I want to go back over before I put it up. You guys can see how pretty that is. I hope that you can see the shine. I hope I'm holding it good enough that you can see the glitter. We're just going to make sure that we get them all covered. You can go back in and trim up. Oops, that's not the lid. Mine's broke, so I kind of have a hard time keeping it straight. So, and there's that one. Now I'm just going to set these over here just for a brief second. Let that kind of like soak into the paper, let it kind of dry a little bit. And while it's doing that, we will go ahead. Let me move everything out of my way first before I say that, because I got to bring in the big shot. So we will go ahead and move this in. And what we're going to use, we've got the magnetic plate. I always do the opposite of what I want to do. If I want to close up, I always go far out. If I want far out, I always go close up. And as you guys can see, I'm using a scrap piece of paper. Nobody's going to see that. I need to cut out that piece right there. So we're just going to put this piece down first. And then we'll lay that one there. And then, so we've got Emerald Envy, Cajun Craze. And those are the two ovals from the Layering Ovals Framelit pack. We'll just run those through. They're super quick. And they will just pop right out for us. Okay. Get this stuff out of our way. Try not to, I had to move when I moved my craft room around, I moved my trash can, and so now I'm afraid stuff is going to land in my trash can without me noticing it. Because I still try to throw stuff in the garbage because I think I'm aiming for my trash can, and I'm not. Okay, so this one, and this is a tight squeeze, guys, when you go to stamp the sentiment. So I'm just going to use Cajun Craze on Cajun Craze. And it'll be fine, I promise. Okay, get this out of the way. Slide this up so you guys can see. And hopefully I'm going to get it on there and get it centered. Just going to press down and up. It is a tight squeeze, but it does work. As you can see, it all fits. And like I said, I was going to use basic black. You could probably use the early espresso too. But the black was just, it was just too harsh because these colors, it just did not blend well with those colors. Let me find some dimensionals. And we'll pop this up. This is one of those cards that I think you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And I just put that on the wrong side. As you can see, I don't waste either. This was one that I tested out when I was going to do when I was coming up with the design and I wasn't sure which colors I was going to use. We'll bring this back in over here. Let's go ahead and put this one on first. Okay, that looks good. What takes the longest is cutting the flowers out. But anyway, like I was saying, I think this is going to be a card that you're either going to love or you're going to love to hate it. It's one of those, I think it's different, it's kind of busy. But I wasn't too sure when I first started out with it, but I ended up liking it. So, you know what? I'm going to make it. We're going to take our bone folder, because these will be, you'll notice the difference when you go to pick them up. They're going to be a little bit stiffer than they were. But we're just going to start making our leaves take shape, okay? And this one I kind of followed the line down the middle. And you want to be careful, we don't want to rip them. And if you kind of just put your thumb there and just gently, like you're curling it over, it's going to follow that design of the bone folder. And it's going to curl right over for you. I was pleasantly surprised when I was doing this and discovered, oh my gosh, the Wink of Stella makes them a little bit stiff, and that makes them easier to work with. So now okay guys, my camera got me yet again. I look up and it's dead. It doesn't blink, it doesn't beep, it doesn't do anything. I just look up and it's dead. And I'm really surprised that this happened, because as you guys know, if you're following me, this is a brand new camera, and this was the only video that was on it. I made sure I deleted everything before I started. So I think I'm going to have to take it back to the place where my husband got it for me at. It's a photography place here where I'm located in Indiana. And I've noticed too, when I do my videos, when I go to download them, it is duplicating them. So like it'll make two of each video. I don't understand why it's doing that, but okay, we'll move on. Sorry about that. So what I did after the camera died, and I didn't realize it during that process, was I just glued the 3 leaves together. So what you can do is just kind of like lay them where you think you're going to want them. And that's what I did with this one. And then I just took Tombow and I glued the smaller one right there, and then the longer one there. You know, I laid them down and kind of visualized where I wanted them to go, and then placed them there. And then I've got my dimensionals on the back, and this one in the center here, I put a double one because I wanted it to pop up right there just a little bit. So you can kind of see, now you can put dimensionals around the leaves if that's, you know, the edges, if that's what you guys want to do, but I didn't want to do that. So then you can just, because I don't want to flatten it, so I kind of am not pushing it, because, you know, we kind of want it to be a little bit 3D-ish. So I'm going to make sure that that one right there in the center gets, and see, you can see that it's, see how that's popped up there? Can you see that? It's not laying flat, and that's what I want, but yet we have enough dimensionals on there that it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay pretty good on there for us. So there it is. I'm sorry that the camera died on us like that without any notice. I'm going to call the gentleman tomorrow and see if I can find the handbook and figure out why it does that. But if you want the supply list, as always, visit my blog. It's bobbystamps.blogspot.com. And thank you guys so much for stopping by today. Bye-bye.